مawlana SAYYIDINA Sh.Muhammad Adil طريقتنا وصحبه والخير في الجميع الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا لما تقولون ما لا تفعلون صدق الله العظيم Allah AZZAWAJAL iman edelim. Ne için yapamayacağınızı söylüyorsunuz. Biz bunu yapacağız, bunu edeceğiz.
Allah Almighty says in the Holy Quran and asks, O believers, why do you claim things which you are not going to keep? Why are you saying you are going to do this, you are going to do that? However, you are unable to keep what you say.
Yapamayacağınızı, yapabildiğinizi yapın. Yapamayacağınızı söz vermeyin.
Do not promise things which you are unable to perform. Only say what you can do.
Onu insanlara söylemeyin diyor. Allah Azze ve Celle ona biz böyle yapacağız, edeceğiz diye ibadet edeceğiz. Yapabildiğiniz kadar yapın.
And you may say many things. You may say that you are going to do this, you are going to do that, but you should only say what you are actually going to do. When it comes to worship, you may claim so many things, but you should say what you are capable of doing.
Yani az olsa da söz verdiğinizi yerine getirin.
And if you promise something, when it's also related to your worship, even if it's less, you should only promise what you're capable of doing.
Her bakımdan yaşıyoruz. Ahiret için, dünya için ikisi birdir zaten.
We live a life where we have a worldly aspect and a spiritual aspect, and it is the spiritual aspect as well as the worldly aspect is part of our lives.
Ahirete ayrı, dünya ayrı olmaz.
We live in this world, but at the same time we also live for the hereafter, and we may not be able to separate one from the other.
Dünyada da yaşayacağımız bütün niyetimiz Allah rızası için olması lazım.
So as we live in this world, we cannot avoid to be part of this world. However, we must strive for dedicating our lives for the sake of Allah Almighty in this world.
İşimiz gücümüz de hem bereketli olur hem sevap kazanmış olur.
So even though we work in this world and try to make our living in this world, we should do it for the sake of Allah Almighty, and Allah Almighty will thereupon grant His blessings and abundance upon our work we do for this worldly living.
Onun için kendine yük olmasın. Senin sözün kendine yük olup da altında ezilmeyin diyor.
We must be careful about what we promise, about the things we claim, and we must choose our promises wisely, and we should not make them to turn into burdens which crush us. We should only say and claim things which we are going to do.
Yapacağınızı, emir olanları yapın. Yapamayacağınızı söz vermeyin.
Do what you can do, but do not promise and claim to do things which you are unable to do.
Umutlandırmayın insanları, kim olursa olsun.
Do not deceive people by raising wrong hopes, by promising things which you are not going to keep.
Bu sözünü tutması lazım.
It is important to keep one's promise.
İslam dini, güzellik dini, her türlü güzellik var.
The religion of Islam is the religion of beauty, and the religion of Islam contains all kinds of beautiful aspects.
Mertlik de sözünü tutmaktır.
And real bravery means to keep one's promise.
Şimdi yaşadığımız zaman onun tersini yaptırıyor.
However, we now live in a time where people do the exact opposite of this.
Yaptırıyor demek, insanlar birbirlerini görüp de ona göre taklit ediyor.
And people are forced to imitate wrong ways by looking at each other and trying to imitate each other.
Bir şey zannediyor. Söyleyip de yapmaması.
And they look at others and they see how they boast about things, how they claim things, and thus they start claiming things themselves, and they make promises which they are not going to keep because everyone else does so.
Halbuki söz insanların Allah Azze ve Celle iyi insanların sıfatıdır.
To make a promise and to keep one's promise is a quality that distinguishes good people.
Sözünde durmak.
It is a virtue to keep one's promise.
O insanlar ki Allah Azze ve Celle'nin en yüceleri peygamberler, önceleri de Peygamber Efendimiz sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem.
The greatest of all people are the prophets, and the greatest of all prophets is our beloved prophet, peace be upon him.
Ondan sonra sahabeler.
And after the prophets, there are the companions.
Sahabeler ve müminler.
And after the companions, there are the believers.
Allah yolunda olan insanlar.
There are those who are on the way of Allah Almighty.
Bu yolu takip eder.
And they follow this way of keeping one's promise.
Yaramayan insanlar, sözünde durmayan insanlardır.
And it is useless people who do not keep their promise.
Allah bizi Allah Azze ve Celle'ye verdiğimiz sözün üzerine durmaya yardım etsin inşallah.
Therefore we must pray and ask Allah Almighty for support to keep our oath we have made before Him and to keep the promise we've made to Allah Almighty.
Çünkü dediğimiz gibi böyle bir zamanda yaşıyoruz ki her dakika ne olacağı belli değil.
We now live in a world where we do not know what's going to happen each minute.
Nefsine kapılıyor insan.
We may be deceived within the next minute by our egos.
Durumdan ötürü diyor, rezil olmayayım diye ben başka şey yaptım, bunu yapmadım, etmedim diye kendi kendine avutuyor.
And then we see people who are afraid of exposing themselves and then start claiming things and start making promises, and then they start saying things which are not true in order to cover their own mischief or their own wrongdoings.
Halbuki sözünde dursa hem kendi itibarını kendisi de hisseder, öteki türlü hiçbir itibar kalmaz.
But instead of making wrong claims and using those false promises as a pretext to excuse oneself, one should rather make promises based on what can do, and thus one would observe and maintain one's honor.
Sözünde durmayan insan, Allah bizi sözümüzde sabit kadem kılsın.
May Allah Almighty make us be steadfast in keeping our promises, because we lose our honor if we do not keep our promises.
Sözümüzden geri dönmeyelim inşallah.
And may Allah Almighty protect us from not keeping our promises.
ومن الله التوفيق. الفاتحة.